Merci beaucoup.
Thank you very much.
Merci.
Well, yes, thank you. A few words of conclusion to conclude this symposium. It's also the conclusion of this annual chair of public health. And I have to say that I'm absolutely delighted to end this chair with such a great symposium of wonderful quality. There was a great diversity in this field of research, a lot of momentum. And I'm not only thinking about the last two addresses. We've had the privilege of having completely new presentations, but I'm also thinking about all of the presentations we've had today, all of these addresses which show an incredible momentum of this field of research on inequalities. One particular observation, stating the obvious here, the interest of having multidisciplinary research. Another observation, another key takeaway, we all agree that, and again I will quote Pierre Bourdieu, even if he hasn't worked a lot on that topic, but he formulated things in a very interesting way when he said in Choses Dites in 1987 that inequalities observed in the field of health are one of the most highlighted manifestations of the inscription of social structures in our bodies. And in our different disciplines, we agree that this perspective of these social structures being inscribed in our bodies is very much relevant. And I think we can all agree that it is a social challenge, a political, scientific challenge also. I will add also another word, it's an ethical challenge which is fundamental. Just to highlight 3-4 ideas on which we beg to differ, it's also the interest of such symposia, it's to beg to differ, to have different perspectives at least. On the issue of causality, this is not specific to the field of health. We find it in other disciplines and areas. We've seen divergences among different disciplines from a theoretical point of view, methodological point of view. We all agree that causality is complex and that direct causality can be found in biomedical studies. It's not adapted for other domains of research. We've discussed many challenges, circular causality, which is more specific to the social sciences and their approaches. And of course, I will not dwell on all of this in this rapid conclusion, but in terms of causality, there's something to explore further within those different disciplines, and also the demonstration of the proof, the burden of proof in social sciences, whether they're qualitative or quantitative, or in economics as well, we've heard it, or in social epidemiology. There are many things that can be looked at multi-level models. Sometimes it's meaningless in other fields. So there is a reflection to conduct in these different areas, theoretical conceptions of causality. We're not the first ones to ask ourselves that question, and different modules that we implement to attest of this proof, this evidence. Another point, today we need to make a distinction, as it was suggested, between the biological and the social, as also the issue of the distinction between sex and gender. Is it relevant beyond the pedagogical challenge? Theoretically, is it relevant to question this social biological distinction? That's another question. I've also heard several conversations on whether we need to focus on the poor or the rich or on the population as a whole. And I seize this opportunity to pay tribute to Françoise Héritier, who was a professor at the Collège de France. In her works, she showed that everything that's on the fringes is very interesting as such, because it allows you to work on very specific populations, but also because working at the margin informs you on what happens within the social body. And there are also important limits that we need to highlight here. We cannot think that in a perspective of a social gradient. There's a perspective of essentialization. So when we think of reducing social inequalities, it might be relevant, but it's better to have a proportionate universalism perspective. What about the countries of the South? We've seen, we've heard the different addresses today. This is a situated knowledge. We come from different social backgrounds. We are white people. And when we see all of the discussions on black feminism, well, we've reflected on this challenge, obviously, when we drew up the program. There are perhaps more difficulties to find recent studies on these issues, but it is important to question the situated aspect of working on inequalities. And before thanking everyone, I have to say that the fog that Michel mentioned and what it represents, this is one question I'm asking myself. Does it really represent the reality of the complexity? Does it really represent the complexity of social reality? We've seen through all of the addresses today the need to take into account different levels of determinants of the environment and micro-determinants as well. Is it a fog because the social world in which we live is very complex, or is it the fog on our glasses, spectacles as researchers?
I'm not going to be able to answer that question, but I'll finish by saying that everything we've been discussing is a fundamental right that is recognized at the international level, that right to health that the WHO defines in its constitution as the right to have the best health status as possible, regardless of race, religion, political opinions, economic or social condition. This right is inscribed in many international treaties, and as such, fighting against inequalities is claiming the effectivity of that right for everyone in every country. It is a particularly difficult task in a world that is increasingly less respectful of law. Thank you for the interpreter. He must be exhausted. We thank the organizers for the symposium. Thank you to the organization team, to the Collège de France, to the Gendi team. Thank you to all of our speakers today. Thank you for all the moderators, and let's keep in touch.